This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
And this is the newspaper analysis segment on the Morning Drive Providence Television International. My name is Ugbebo Ikekwa, and as usual, I would always say thanks for staying tuned to this wonderful station. With me in the studio is the Chief Executive Officer, Chairman, Providence Television International, Dr. Emmanuel Egariba.
Yes, always a very big pleasure to be here. Today is even so special, by the way. A lot of people don't know this, but I think it's incumbent on us to remind all and sundry that today is a special day, November 11, otherwise known as 11/11. Yeah. Okay, but it used to be what they call Armistice Day, really. Armistice Day, well, it's now Remembrance Day in the Commonwealth of Nations and Veterans Day in the United States. It's observed by many countries around the world: Australia, Belgium, Canada, France, New Zealand, Romania, Serbia, United Kingdom, and many other countries. But November 11, 1918, that's where it's so important. 1918, an armistice was signed between the Germans and the Allied forces, ending World War I. That was in 1918. So we remember Armistice Day very well. But in Nigeria, and I think I remember this when I was a young boy growing up in Lagos, long before the Civil War, we used to observe it in Nigeria, and then we would go to the cenotaph at a place called the Dumota in Lagos. Oh, we were attracted to the military. Beautiful ceremonial dresses and uniforms with epaulets, and things like that, with beautiful caps and beautiful uniforms, really. It attracted many young people to the military because they would dress up very neat, cute, and they will observe what we used to call Armistice Day in Lagos. But all that changed after the Civil War. For example, what we used to observe as Armistice Day was now observed as January 15, okay? Yes. Which is the day that the Civil War ended back in 1970. So we didn't have to follow the way of the Commonwealth, by the way. So we created our own format. And that's why you have January 15, which is just around the corner now. So it is to remember the fallen heroes. That's what Armistice Day itself was all about. So for people who do not know, today is 11/11. I still remember it, but thank goodness that it's long gone into history. Rather than that, we're not talking about January 15 for Nigeria, which marked the end of the civil hostilities back in 1970.
All right, well, thank you so much. Well, that has always been the norm for us, to keep you educated and informed. And so with this, we'll move to the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, where we have governors endangering perception of judiciary by giving cars, houses to judges. Serap tells Tinubu.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't mention the name of the governor. We used to do that, who continues to do that. Yes, it's not right, because actually the judiciary is an independent arm of government. They shouldn't go cap in hand, really. No, all the three arms are independent: the executive, the judiciary, the legislature. They are fully independent. One should not depend on the other going cap in hand. That is why a lot of judges are falling into the traps set by some governors, because they are taken from there, and so they have to do their bidding. It is wrong, and I think it's even more obnoxious when you talk about the moral value of it. I'm not even talking of the political angle. It's against morality, for example. And I think that the current CJ, the Chief Justice, this must be part of our reforms, really, that he wants to put on the table. So I should think that the judicial officers should have the courage, yes, to avoid such gestures. It is not compulsory. In any case, as I said, the judicial arms should have enough funds available to them constitutionally, so that they can take care of their needs rather than depend on the governor or the chief executive of the country.
All right. All right, we'll move to the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. Presidency, Atiku, envious of Tinubu's position, misunderstands Nigeria's current realities, says ex-president has shown more interest in undermining the president than in addressing his party's internal crisis?
Well, it's mudslinging, they call it. Mudslinging. And I don't think it's good, right for the polity anyway, but that's politics for you. All right? So you can't take it away from politicians. They must rub themselves with mud, you know, that kind of thing once in a while. But I think that, well, talking seriously now, the former vice president should look at issues more holistically, really. I mean, there are problems in the country, and if you must criticize very objectively without putting yourself on the firing line. Okay? That's what is happening now. So you must, I mean, as we say in law, he who comes into equity, he must come with clean hands. There are certain things that he's talking about that he was also guilty of when he was the second in command in this country. So that's my take. But you expect things like this, really. But I look at the angle of objectivity.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually the bottom line is, if you are criticizing positively and justifiably, it will be difficult for government to fault what you are saying. It will be very difficult, okay? Except they want to reduce the whole thing to mockery. But that's the way it is, as I said, politicking. Sometimes for political correctness, I mean, we have to say things like this, all right?
All right.
So, but it's to be expected.
All right. Well, this kind of a situation now, like the former vice president has been speaking out, and then would you see this as a sort of constructive opposition, why you have the need for an opposition?
Now, I don't want to mention things specifically, but
Okay.
I do know that in the recent past, he's been talking about things that he himself was guilty of. So they use it against him. I mean, if he's talking of things that were outside his own purview or authority, yes, one would probably understand. You know, again, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones, otherwise you expect a rebuff. Okay?
Exactly.
So, but what I'm saying is, if people must criticize, they must criticize very objectively and faultlessly, so that you box your opponent into a corner. They won't have anything to say. All right? So that is my position.
All right. Well, we'll move still on the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. Another story there, support army to secure Nigeria's territory. Acting chief of army staff urges Sokoto community. We'll tie this to the front page of the leadership newspapers, where we have wipe out Lakurawa now. Northern leaders tell military. Say terrorists sacking security agents and local vigilantes. Troops pound bandits in Kebbi and Zamfara states.
Well, the issue by the northern elders, I hope it's not a hype, really, because, I don't know, the Sokoto scenario is very painful because the Lakurawas, they call them, they've taken about five or six local government areas, and they are sacking some of the indigenes. In fact, they are even sacking the military. That's what one of the newspapers said. Now, the military has to be on top of its game. We have said this over and over again. All right? The deployment. And the question is this the wrong deployment or the absence of the appropriate weapons of war? Because we are in a war situation, really. So if you are talking of deployment, it's not just a question of moving one battalion from one place to the other. It must be head-on, you know, okay, so that we can uproot these people from that area. And don't forget, I said this about 2 or 3 days ago, that these people from the Sahel, they get progressively more dangerous. Yes, I would know. Nobody has said that, but my inkling tells me that it might be a splinter group from Boko Haram. And when that happens, it must be something we should look at very, very seriously. If it's a splinter group, then there will be an issue of a balance of terror. Okay, this one is doing something, the other one is doing something, and they will meet in the middle. So, but we shouldn't pray for that. However, this Sokoto state government has cried out very loud and trying to put up some resistance. But what can they do? Because actually, even though the Constitution says the chief executive of the state is the chief security officer, but ideally, from the reality on the ground, it's not. So his powers are limited as far as that is concerned. So that's why I say, for instance, that the army, not just the army, the armed forces should tackle this head on. I have always said on this program that we should not allow things to come to a head before we now apply solutions. And what that means is intelligence. you must do underground intelligence. Even before they came in from the Sahel, you will have known. I mean, for an ideal situation, they ought to have known. Now they are saying that they cannot fight this battle alone unless the civilians come in to assist. And what is that? Information, intelligence. Yes, they must synergize with the people in that environment. If they hear anything, yes, please tell us before they come in. That's intelligence network. It has happened. 5 local governments have been sacked in Sokoto State.
Exactly.
Yeah, who knows how many will be involved in the next few days or weeks.
Well, the actual chief of staff has actually given an order that there should be a crackdown on them. But then, Trust Providence Television International, we're going to give you a breakdown of that in our upcoming news bulletin. So if you want information as regards this, in-depth information as regards this, don't worry, we're equal to the tax. We'll give it to you in our upcoming news bulletin. And so we'll move over to the Daily Trust newspapers, where we'll have on the front page, cement hits 8,800 as cost of building materials skyrockets. Iron rod jumps from 800,000 naira to 1.6 million naira in 1 year. Situation dashing hope of owning houses. This is coming from Citizens as experts blame naira depreciation and transportation costs.
I'm surprised because before now, really, I mean, if this hadn't cropped up, I would have thought that cement by this time was up to about 9,000 or something. Okay. So meaning that it was much lower than this, before this upsurge. Which to me is painful, particularly for people who are building projects and things like that. But it dashes the hopes of people who want to build their own homes. For example, how many bags of cement are you going to buy to build a small bungalow? Yeah, only God knows. So, but that is a deficit, I mean, as far as governance is concerned. Deficit because government ought to prepare houses for the citizens. Yes, housing schemes, for example. I remember when the military was here, we still remember in Edo State, I think we have the Andrew Wilson Housing Estate built by the military. The Kubai Hill Axis, we have some housing units there built by the military then. So, but the government of the day should devote much attention to houses. What are the main necessities of life? Food, water, and shelter. Yes. There is no reason why somebody cannot be given a loan. For instance, I mean, it used to happen in those days, soft loans, particularly for public servants, so they can have their own houses, maybe a 1-bedroom flat or something, you know. I may not want to talk about this, but here in Providence Television, we have a small housing unit, yes, which was built by my humble self some time ago. And how much did it cost, for example? But right now it's being occupied, and that's to the glory of God and to my eternal happiness. But government can do that. I mean, I have made a suggestion on these programs that what stops any government from building 100 housing units in each senatorial district? Each government, each state rather, has 3 senatorial districts, and you can have 300 in a year. 100, land is not a problem, quite frankly. All you need is to build small, bedroom flats, maybe 1 bedroom or something for a small family unit. And how much would that cost? The average of about 4 million. With multiplier effect, you're not spending up to 1 billion. That's what every government can afford. I mean, people are stacking away billions, whereas this money stacked away somewhere can be used to build houses for people. So it's just a wrong methodology of doing things, and bad faith, very bad faith. There's the cement has gone up now. And by the way, this is the dry season. This is the time people want to build their own houses and all kinds of projects. So it's still going to go up. Yes, it's still going to go up because the rainy season is over. During this rainy season, prices go down naturally because people don't want to risk, this issue of rainstorms and things. But the dry season is here with us. So it must go up still. And the cement companies, government should also help them by special appeal. I don't think there are very many now. I know there's Dangote, there's Boa or whatever. They should come down so that ordinary folks around the country can afford them.
All right. Well, this brings us to the Vanguard newspapers, where we have NLC directs workers in defaulting states to begin strike action on December 1st. That's as regards minimum wage payment.
Well, it's bound to happen. I think as many as 15 states, or thereabouts, have said that they're not going to be able to pay.
They would, yes.
Some have found it difficult to pay 30,000. Yes, the old one, they have found it difficult to pay.
Zamfara State just started paying 30,000 last month.
Yes.
And you're telling them to pay
70,000. So there's so much disparity and so much unseriousness on the part of government. Many governments of this country, state governments, can pay more than 70.
Yes.
Yes. Particularly states that are well endowed. Rivers, for instance, Lagos. Okay? So, but if there's a law, the law has to be obeyed. Because there's a law that has been put in place for this. My worry, and I'll tell you this, my worry is a lot of people who are receiving the 70,000, they are beginning to agitate. They are beginning to agitate, and you can understand, because prices of foodstuff are going up.
Yes.
And there's nothing to give private employers a leverage. Nothing. That is my pain. There's no incentive for private employers, for example, because the 70,000 we are talking about is to the advantage of public workers and civil servants. Yes. What of people who are privately employing people? What incentives does government have for that? And they are more in number. Yes, they are more in number. I mean, I'm a private employer, so I know what I'm saying. Okay, so but government should bring out the price of fuel. I've said that repeatedly. Once that goes down, everything falls into place. I don't know what is happening in this country, but I do know that once the price of fuel goes down, every other thing collapses into it. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for that analysis. Well, like I would always tell you, Providence Television, we are out. Providence Television International, we are out to always give you the best. But as usual, the CEO has a parting shot for us.
Well, I'm not a meteorologist, but I do know from my knowledge of geography that the dry season is here with us. Very soon we're going to the Harmattan haze, which is my favorite, really. It's my favorite weather.
Okay.
Yes, Harmattan haze. Now, this goes to farmers. Please avoid bush burning. I've said it before, I'm saying it again, as we prepare to go into the haze. Avoid bush burning. First of all, it kills the nutrients on your farmlands. It kills the topsoil, okay? It does. They burn indiscriminate bush burning. That's what I'm saying. It kills exotic plants. Yes, that we ought to keep. Even economic plants, rubber and things like that. They just burn them indiscriminately. And to even worsen it, it creates very terrible haze. So when you are going a place from Benin to a place like Saples, for instance, about 2 or 3 kilometers, the road is covered. Yes. Then you begin to use your headlamp. It causes kinds of road accidents. So we must watch it, and this is the time for the Minister of Agriculture to be on top of his game, to advise farmers that they must be very careful, particularly at this period. And when the Harmattan haze comes in, hopefully, this is not too early to say this, people will have ailments such as, what's the name of this ailment now?
That has locally popularly known as asthma.
Asthma, yes. Asthma. Thank you very much. Asthma. This is the time to watch it. You know, cover yourself properly. Avoid dusty areas. All right, so you don't have crisis. Yes, that's my take.
Well, thank you so much, sir. And so on this note, like I would always tell you, stay tuned to Providence Television International.